He really, really loves you guys. He's getting taped right now. So we'll start with Bruce, and we'll get Coach in here when he's ready at 2:30.
Bruce, I wonder, did you grow up like an ACC fan again where you grew up?
Nah, it was straight SEC.
Straight, okay.
Straight SEC.
Okay. Well, what does the opportunity to play at a place like Duke, what does that mean to someone like you?
For me, just watching basketball, playing at Duke is just a big thing. It's just certain places in college basketball. I feel like playing at Duke is like a top five thing, and I'm very excited to play there.
And as you guys have prepared for them, what concerns you most? I know you're the best offensive rebounding team in the country. Is that something that coaches emphasize to you guys?
Yeah, that's the main thing. Getting multiple offensive rebounds, like 15 and plus, is very dangerous. There's just more opportunities, a lot of second chance, wide open threes. So it could be very detrimental to our team if we don't box out and let them get multiple offensive rebounds.
What were your thoughts on kind of your performances, and now it seemed like you really started to settle in, and I guess what was kind of clicking for you on offense in terms of like scoring the ball specifically, but maybe it wasn't before that?
It was just the confidence. Just the first 3 games, how they get used to the field, they get used to the team. But I feel like when the competition rises, then when the pressure's on. So I feel like the challenge right in front of me, I stepped up to it. We went 2-1, but the whole goal was to win it all. But I take 2-1 any day. I mean, instead of losing 2 games or more than that.
And I'm wondering, like, I think they have like 6 guys that are in the top 100, and you're saying for the 2022 class. Again, there's so many freshmen on, like, big time freshmen on both sides. Does it like make it any more important to you to like kind of show out against some of those guys who are, you know, ranked in your same neighborhood in terms of recruiting and stuff like that, or does that really not come into the?
Not really. While just playing college basketball, it's just a whole different level. So it doesn't matter freshman, sophomore, grad, senior. It doesn't matter. In the day, they're looking at you as a college basketball player. Did you get that Wednesday? And how do you help your team win?
Bruce, how would you assess your guys' ball movement at this point? It seemed like at the end of Maui, you guys were sharing the ball a little bit better. Where do you think you guys are at this point?
I feel like we're in a good space right now, just us sharing the ball. We really don't care who had the most points that night. Obviously, the last game, so he had 33 points. He had a hot hand, so we fed him. And I was doing my role every time I was open, just willing to knock down the wide open 3. So that was my role for that game. And like for me personally, like I really don't care who has the most points. At the end of the day, if we win, I'm cool. If I have 0 points, I don't play at all. If we win as a group, I feel confident in us.
And we might be talking to Sean a little bit. What's it like when he gets going like that in a game when he had 20 points in the second half against San Diego State? Is that infectious for you guys?
It's very infectious, especially his shooting ability from deep range. When you have to guard somebody so far out, it's almost like you have to worry about him so much, you almost forget about the other 4 players on the court. So his ability to shoot deep range, seeing him working on it all summer, he keep improving, and his 3 points making ability spreads out our offense for everybody else on the team.
You mentioned the increase in competition making you better. Did it kind of take you back to like AAU or high school where everybody is kind of equal and so you have to play even better? Did it take you back to that a little?
Almost, yeah. Not to say the other three teams before that wasn't important, but like for me, it was a confidence thing for me. The big thing Holtmann said to me, just be yourself. So I took that into the three games into Maui, and the results came. And I felt confident in how I played. I feel like I could play even better even after that.
When did that start in those 3 games of San Diego State, somewhere in there you felt like you can do this type of thing?
Just the beginning of the game, I didn't have a nerve. I just feel like I'm ready to play. I've been working out all summer, all preseason. I'm like, why not play this game at the full potential I can play? So when I got that nerves out the way, I feel like I can go. I can play with anybody in the country.
I want to ask about Justice. He had the first game here. He played really well. Then he kind of struggled a little bit for a couple games, and then had that big 33-point game. Just how did that change his mood? I bet flying back from Hawaii was a lot more fun for him than it's been some of the past games. Just what came about for him out of that, and how important is it for him to have him going like that?
For me, I wasn't here the 2 previous years that he didn't play, so I just can't even imagine just waiting 2 years, just not playing the game that he probably loved. So him getting back and playing in his state where he grew up, he was just showing me around like different food places and everything. Just him just showing me around as like a captain, as a big brother, and him had a type of performance to leave out of Maui is just. You just can't be more happy for somebody. Like you probably even more happy than him to leave out his state with that type of performance. And I hope that he keep going for him and he keep playing this well. If he does, he will be very dangerous.
Chris, you're talking about the rebounding, and the team gets 15 offensive rebounds. What kind of challenge that presents? When you guys do give up an offensive rebound, what are like some of the keys that you have to try to reset the defense when a team gets an extended opportunity?
For opportunities like that, you have to refocus back on another 20 seconds on shot clock. It's almost like you playing on 30 seconds of defense, and they get another chance. So you have to refocus, relock in on the possession at hand, because if you don't, it's a wide open 3, and that can be the momentum switch during the tight period of the game. So things like that, because like the whole game is not going to be perfect, to be honest. But when they do get an offensive rebound, you have to refocus, relock in, and get the next defensive rebound.
How difficult is that, and how well do you think this team has been at figuring that out when you do give up a second chance, trying to force another miss?
I feel like we found that out against San Diego State on multiple chances. At the end of that game, they hit a lot of threes at the end to separate the game. So we cut it to 4 down, they pushed it to 7, now to 10. So small emphasis like that determine a lot during the game. But I feel like if we close that down and get through, we'll have a great chance to win that game.
Casey, one more for Bruce?
Yeah, sure. Bruce, just being in Maui, playing 3 games in 3 days, and then flying all the way back, how hard of an adjustment was it? Just the time change, and then also the physical wear and tear of playing 3 and 3?
It was a difficult adjustment, especially for everybody that came on that flight. Even if you played or if you didn't, just that time zone, 5 hours difference, and coming back to play due this following Wednesday. But I feel like our team is ready to play. Everybody got their feet under them. We had a good practice yesterday. We're just gonna build out that solid personnel, see who people are probably gonna guard, see different situations. But I feel confident in playing on Wednesday night.
You said y'all had a good practice.
Yeah.
Was there anything that y'all worked on and really improved in that practice session?
Really just rebounding, box it out. They are #1 team in offensive rebound, so that's a big thing they're good at. So we have to limit that. So we have a high percentage chance of winning that game, and I feel confident in my teammates and my coaching staff that we have a good chance of winning that game.
Thanks, Bruce. You want to go ahead and start?
Sean, it feels like when you heat up a little bit from 3, that opens up your inside game a little bit. How much of an effort have you made in making yourself not just a shooter, but someone that can go inside as well?
Yeah, I think ever since I kind of got on campus here, I've worked a lot with Coach, specifically Coach Diebler, with just being able to create off the bounce, knowing that teams are going to take my 3-point shot away, just being able to create some sort of offense outside of shooting. So it was good to kind of get going finally.
How important was that game against San Diego State for you personally, just to get going in a Buckeyes uniform? You've had games like that at West Virginia, but to get one this early for Ohio State, how important was it?
Yeah, it was big for me. Kind of took a little bit longer than I would have liked to kind of get going a few games in, but I stayed within myself, played within the system, and shots started falling.
Sean, your first Big 12 road game was at Fog Mountain. What do you remember about that experience coming there and playing an atmosphere like that as a young player?
Yeah, probably the hardest place I played up until maybe tomorrow night. But no, I mean, being an experienced guy, I kind of know what these games are like, kind of what Cameron and Nora have a feel for what that'll probably be like tomorrow. But just kind of to tell the younger guys kind of what it'll be like, or at least to some degree, just playing within themselves and not getting too rattled by the atmosphere and the environment. But I mean, it'll be loud. There'll be a lot of people in there. It's a small arena or smaller, place to play, but it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm sure it's probably easier said than done, like handling that in the right way, not getting overwhelmed. But when you are playing as many new guys as you guys are, that could be a thing. What do you think what is the challenge like of this team being ready to step into that moment and on that stage and perform well?
Yeah, I think that the young guys kind of already have a feel for it. They went to Maui and played extremely well. These young guys don't act like young guys. I've said that before. But no, I think they're ready for it. I think they're fully prepared, and the other guys on the team and the coaching staff is going to get them ready to play.
Sean, you guys are kind of starting like a tale of two halves of the season so far. You start 3 straight games at home and now 3 straight games in Maui, and then you have to travel to Durham to play Duke. How does the preparation change when you have just different stretches of games either at home versus away?
Yeah. Maui was tough. I know you guys asked Bruce that before, but Maui was definitely a difficult adjustment when we were coming back, or going there and coming back. I think it took a few of us a couple more days than we probably would have liked when we got back, but I can say that the team, the staff and the team is finally back under our feet. Time zones and time change. We finally got that taken care of, I think. They were actually forcing us to wear these rings and go to sleep by a certain time. And if we weren't, it was, there would be punishments. But no, we'll be ready to go. Bruce said we had a good practice yesterday. We'll have another good one today, and then we'll be ready to 40 plus minutes tomorrow.
What kind of rings?
It's like an aura ring. It's like tracks your sleep and a whole bunch of stuff.
Bruce also mentioned their offensive rebounding, the number 1 team in the country. How much has Coach Holtmann emphasized that, and how big of a deal is that going to be?
It's kind of been something that he's emphasized. Not just for Wednesday, but the whole up until this point. 6 games in, we haven't been great on the glass, but something that we're going to continue to work at and emphasize in practice and get better at. Obviously they're known for offensive rebounding and rebounding in general, so we've just got to be that much more physical.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, hey, thanks for being here. Obviously, quick turnaround here. Actually, from getting back from Maui, getting our legs under us here a little bit. We obviously play a terrific program, really talented group that I think is really well coached. And they're young, they're obviously really talented. We have some familiarity with them, obviously just playing them here last year, but they have a number of new faces. So be a great challenge for us here on the road, first true road environment, and we're looking forward to it.
You mentioned, they obviously have a lot of freshmen. You have a lot of freshmen too. The way that you challenge some of your veterans in Maui to step up and do more, how much do you need them to continue that in this kind of environment? Well, some of the new guys have to figure out their first real road game in a place like this.
Yeah, I think that's, I think Maui was important for our older guys to perform well. And I think Justice is still finding his way a little bit. We've challenged challenged Zed with consistency. And I think to have Sean kind of play the way he did in that 3-game stretch, we really hadn't seen that even as coaches. We knew it was coming, we just hadn't seen it. But I thought he and Ice provided some really good things. So, but particularly our returning 2 guys, 2 starters, it was important to see them do some good things in that 3-game stretch against good competition.
And because you mentioned that this was obviously his coming out party last year when he played against you. And it seemed like at times he maybe is giving you a little bit more consistency this year.
Yeah.
Where is he as far as what you saw against Duke last year, that being more the standard than the exception?
Well, it was an exceptional game by Zed, and I think anytime you play with great players, sometimes you benefit. Zed took advantage of that opportunity by playing with it. EJ was getting a lot of attention. Our perimeter guys were getting a lot of attention, and he did a great job finishing in that particular game. And he really benefited from that, and like I said, took full advantage. But his teammates also deserve some credit. They put him in great positions. I think for him, what we're looking for is consistency on both ends. His ball screen coverage has to continue to get better. It's not where it needs to be right now, and that's a focal point for us. If our defense is gonna be good, our five-man has to be on point with our ball screen coverage, and that's what we're challenging him with.
I'm wondering, what can you take from last year's win, given that so many players for them, important pieces left, and for
Nothing.
you as well?
Yeah, not really much of it. We played at home, incredible environment. I can take some good memories. That's what I can take, incredible environment, and, but outside of that, nothing really. They're different. We're obviously very different. They obviously have a new coaching staff, even though he was, obviously on staff for a number of years and played there, but, not much at all.
And then the size for them, the offensive rebounding,
Yeah.
I assume presents a unique challenge so far based on the teams you've played previously. How do you kind of address that this week?
Yeah, they've got great size across the board. As big as any team will play all year, and it's not necessarily at one particular position, it's more kind of across the board. They've got great depth, interior depth. They're number one in offensive rebounding percentage in the country right now. So to say that's a concern going into the game is an understatement. You're playing a team that's gonna play with great energy, coming off a loss. They're really gifted and really talented. They're the number one offensive rebounding team in the country. They're playing back at home for the first time. It'll be an incredible environment, so there's no question, obviously, having beaten them last year, we're gonna get a great shot from them, and that's certainly what we expect.
Chris, what would you like to see Bruce kind of come into his own offensively in Maui?
I think it was really good to see. I think it was just good to see him kind of play like we've seen him practice. I thought he relaxed and was able to get his feet in position to make shots. His shooting numbers have been good all offseason. He had shown that a little bit in a few games, but not to the level that he did. I think that'll continue to be the case as the game slows down for him. But more than anything, the value of Bruce right now is in so many ways, and I think that's what has given us the opportunity to play him as much as we're playing him. He's an asset on the defensive end. He can obviously run our team. He doesn't turn the ball over much, and that'll be challenged tomorrow night. So he is very much the definition of a really effective two-way player right now.
And what do you see from Ice? I mean, I know his scoring numbers were down, but defensively, he played pretty well in Maui. Just what was his composure like in those games, or maybe his shots weren't falling, but he was doing other things for you guys?
Yeah, I think, listen, I think people, unless they watch our team over an extended period of time, or unless they're a coach, you're gonna miss some of the things Isaac does. You just are. I think you'll see it over time, but if you just take a snapshot of our team, you're gonna miss a lot of what he does. He guards often the best perimeter player. He can guard 1 through 4 pretty easily. He is a real challenge in the low post to score over, even though he's 6'5". He rebounds it well. He's a really good passer for his size. So I think, people get enamored obviously with offense, and they see that, and that's the easiest thing to visualize when you watch teams play. But his value is pretty special in the sense that he can do a lot of different things.
Hey, Chris. You play in a lot of great gyms already, just in conference. You go to Mackey and Chrysler and all these great buildings and play in these big, great environments. You're getting ready to play against an excellent team, excellent talent,
Yeah.
but then you add in that unique element that's special to Cameron, where you're talking about the intensity is just maybe at a different level than maybe any place in the country. Who knows? It's up there. How do you prepare your kids? Because they know what it is. They've
Yeah.
watched it growing up. Like they know what they're getting into. How do you prepare them for that? What do you want them to think about as they go into that?
Well, you mentioned it. We play in some really loud arenas and some incredible environments. I've never coached in Cameron Indoor before, so I cannot spell it out for them what it's gonna be like. We'll do typical things we do preparing for a really loud environment with noise machines and making sure our communication is more visual versus audio, verbal communication in terms of from the bench. But I think as much as anything, we're looking to see how they respond to this environment. And I think it's gonna require great poise. I don't think we'll be perfect in our first go-around playing in an environment like this. I just don't think we will. I think this will be good learning for us as we move forward. And like I said, I'm sure they're gonna be angry from the recent loss and from losing to us last year. They've got a really competitive group, a really talented group. I said, I think they're well coached. Apparently, my wife told me last night it's gonna be a whiteout for the first time in years, which was nice of her to tell me right before I went to bed. So, it's gonna be a great environment.
Chris, it was announced that the ACC Big Ten Challenge is coming to an end. I'm just curious what your reaction to that is, and then also, how does that affect scheduling going forward in seasons to come?
Yeah, we're in the talks right now with several, a few, what will be marquee home games to kind of replace that ACC Big Ten Challenge. I apologize, this year we just weren't able to get it done. Typically, we've been able to with a Villanova or, with Duke, or, we even scheduled Cincinnati when we first got here. I'd like to try to do that every year. Apologize to our fans, we just weren't able to get it done this year for a variety of reasons. Some of it was what we already had scheduled with Maui and some other things, but want to do it every year. We're looking potentially at doing 2 home and homes, maybe one on the road, one at home next year, but definitely one. Whether we can get that started here or we'll have to return it in a year, we'll figure that out.
And y'all's offense is back at the top again, I believe 6th in Ken Palm. I'm just curious, how much of a factor is just having guys, multiple guys, not just a couple that may have been in the past or whatever, how big of a factor is it just to have ball handlers and guys that you can put the ball in their hands and know they're not gonna turn it over? How crucial is that to the functionality of the offense and just being able to have success on that end?
I think it'll be interesting to see what those numbers look like as the year goes on. I think we've had some good offensive moments. We'll see, how consistent we can be with that. I think we can touch the paint a little bit better than what we were able to last year, but we also lacked some things that last year's team had. So, we'll see how consistent we are with that as we move forward. I think obviously Justice being healthy, because he can do a lot of different things, is important for us.
Coach, you mentioned earlier that you guys are practicing and focusing on rebounding, and Duke is the #1 offensive rebounding team in the country. And they're also pretty tall. I believe they have either 4 or 5 guys at least 7 feet tall. With kind of like that size disparity, what do you try to emphasis in practice specifically with the rebounding in order to prepare for a game like this?
I think it's the same thing we've emphasized all year. And, I think it's the same thing we've emphasized all years. And, people will tell you rebounding is as much about pursuit of the ball as it is, some of the greatest rebounders have been guys that have been, a little bit smaller. So I think the reality is it's gonna take a team effort. They do have great length. We're gonna have to stay out of too much rotation, because that's where you get in trouble on the glass. They do a great job pursuing the ball, and obviously they have good size. The young kid that transferred from Northwestern has really stabilized them too. Obviously, they have some really talented young guys, but just having a player of his caliber has helped them on the interior as well.
Bruce talked about the confidence that he got from playing in Maui and seeing that he could play at that level. I assume that happens with everybody. How often does it happen maybe that quickly for freshmen? Is it normal, or how does that progress or that process happen?
At different paths, really different paths for different guys. We saw it happen with Malachi, and then it really happened, right? So I think different paths for different guys. The light clicks on, the game slows down, but they still go through ups and downs, and they will, like any player. But I just think it happens differently for different guys. That's why you try to keep things as simple as possible for freshmen, but still there's a lot for them to take in, absorb, learn, grow from. And, you know, we'll have some inconsistent moments too, just because he's a freshman, but he was terrific in that 3-game stretch.
Chris, is there any update on Gene for this game?
Yeah, Gene will be out this game, yeah. He'll be out, you know, probably until otherwise noted, really. So.
And then aside from Zed, who's going to get a lot of attention with their size, how important is it going to be for both Ice and Felix rotating in and out against that size? I know Felix actually played some decent amount of minutes in Maui. How important is it going to be for those two guys when Zed's out to be able to handle some of their big guys?
Yeah, I think both guys will be critical. I think Felix kind of all year, him coming along, gradually growing is gonna be really critical for our team. And just the contributions that again, maybe we don't see, his defensive impact, his ability just to be able to spell Zed for certain minutes. And then, you know, when we play a lineup that kind of has a bunch of 6'7" to, you know, 6'6" to 6'7" guys, you know, that having that lineup out there that has some versatility and can rebound the ball will be important with Zed out for sure.
When you come back and kind of break down Maui and start moving forward, you had some guys I'm sure didn't play as much as they thought they might, and probably some things like that with younger guys. How have you maybe addressed that with them, and how have you seen them pick up from that and try to keep them focused on the big picture?
Yeah, I think, Adam, as much as possible, you try, and I've obviously talked about this before, you normalize that process for athletes like them. They're not the only one that's going through disappointment from not, you know, playing as much. It's very common, not just amongst freshmen, but amongst transfers or new players or older guys, maybe different roles. So you try to show examples of how guys have handled that well and how important that is for their continued growth. And again, they have a choice to make in that situation. Team sports sometimes can be challenging things for athletes because you can be really successful as a team and things not maybe personally go as well as you want to. You got a choice in that moment, and you either choose to be unselfish or you can choose to be about yourself. And that's the challenge for athletes in any team sport, is to make the choice that will ultimately help you become the best version of yourself.
And when you're talking about offensive rebounding, resetting the defense when the possession gets extended, the personnel that you have, how well equipped do you think some of these guys' skill sets are? It's a scramble mode, you gotta figure out where you're supposed to be. Do you feel that you have guys that are equipped well for those kinds of situations?
When, like, defensive scramble situations?
Yeah, defensive scramble.
We're not there yet. You know, we're not there yet. We're still adding to our defense. And we're just not there. You know, we're certainly we're certainly a work in progress as a team, as most teams are. But defensively, we just have a long way to go. I think our performance in Maui on the defensive end was just okay in spots, and it needs to grow.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.